Good to see you. What's happening? Baruch Hashem. Perfect timing. Simchat Shlomo time. Have some wine. Good Purim. It's the best. It's kavua at Purim Shir the whole year. It's just part of our yearly, weekly schedule. It's just like how we roll. Oh, got less? Okay. All right. This meeting is being live streamed. Okay. So we're gonna start with a new niggin that just came down mamish minutes ago. Da 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 That's right. So we've been exploring the throne of Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon's throne. It's just been like this imagery thing that we've been doing. We'll go over a bit to some of you guys that were here last week. Chaim Baruch Atah Purim. Ooh, it's good wine. So Shlomo HaMelech had this very ornate, very magical kind of a throne that he had. And on Esther, there's something called the Targum Chain, which is a second translation of Esther. It's not the regular Targum Yonasan that we have on the whole Tanakh. It's a special thing considered kind of to be like a type of a midrash almost. And it has this long, on Pasuk Bet, where it says, Bayamim Ahem, Keshevet HaMelech Achashveros. When he was sitting on his kisei, so there's this long thing about the kisei of Shlomo Melech. And we saw last week, just go quickly through the original descriptions of it, that they had 6 steps leading up to it. It was made out of ivory and covered in gold. And the wild world indeed. And it had all kinds of precious jewels and pearls. And first of all, it had 12 lions of gold and 12 eagles of gold. That was like on your way up to the throne. It seems like it was on the floor level. And lions on one side, eagles on the other. And then on your way up, there was a sheer zahav. Sheer is a type of animal. Seen you today? I'm not sure. I don't remember that from last week. It's a new thing. מה זה? כן, כן, ראית? אבל כנראה שדילגתי על זה, לא יודע. Anyway, שיר זהב, ולמטו אריה זהב. Not sure, two animals, one a golden lion, and the other a golden something or other. And the next one was a golden wolf, and a golden sheep, and then a golden leopard, and a golden camel, opposite, like on either sides of each step. And a golden eagle and a golden tavas. What's a tavas again? Peacock, right? Peacock, a golden peacock, right? On the fifth step was a golden cat and a golden chicken, and on the sixth step was a golden hawk and a golden dove opposite, right? So imagine, it's so like amazing. Just imagine this thing. And up over the top was another golden dove, which was holding a golden jug. And above the kisei was like over his head was a giant menorah of gold. This is like getting us ready for Hanukkah, right? Giant menorah of gold, and had all of its beautiful aspects, like the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash with kaftorim and gaviim and brachim, like all the different kind of decorations, right? And but this menorah had 7 branches on one side and 7 branches on the other. So it's 14 branches with a 15th in the middle, I think. And they each had images of people on them, special people. There were, on one side was Adam, Noach, Shes, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Eov. Right? Well, on the other side was Levi, Kahas, Amram, Moshe, Aaron, Eldad, Medad, and Hur. Wow. And some say Chagai Hanavi. So one side is considered Avot HaOlam, the forefathers of the world. The other one is considered Chasidei HaOlam, the pious ones of the world. And over the top of the menorah, there was this golden jug, which presumably maybe that's the same jug that the dove is holding, and this could be also related to the dove of Noach that came back with the olive branch, right? But there is a midrash that says that from those olives were made that pure oil that was handed down from generation to generation, and that was the oil actually in this week's parsha that Yaakov went back for a kad katan. Pachim Ktanim, what was it? It was that same jug of the oil that was the hope of all of creation going back all the way to Noach, and that was uncontaminated by the Greeks, and that's like the oil that we're lighting from in our homes for Hanukkah. The same oil? Going back, okay. Yes, midrash kaza. So, there's like it's this concept of a primordial, of like a purity that represents a deep, deep connection with Hashem. Of the Gemara says about the Yonah, this dove, that it came back to all the branches, that I'd rather eat food that is bitter, but that I found myself in the world, than to eat food that is sweet and good, but that I found that is given to me by the hands of man, given to me by Noah. So there's a rabbi Gottlieb, I think his name is. He's a great grandfather of my friend Gershon Gottlieb, who was one of the first rabbanim in America. He came to America before the turn of the century. Like, he was in the New York area in like the 1890s, and it was a wasteland, Jewishly. There was like no at all, like not. And he wrote these drushas down, and we have them. And they're these very kind of forlorn drushas of this like yid in America, just like look like, and he writes in there that the dove, there's I think a zohar, that the dove found the olive branch with the olives on it from the Garden of Eden. And brought it in, right? And so he says that the Garden of Eden was this place that was somehow untouched by the flood. Anything that's holy, right, is gonna have some. So he says, and ever since the dove brought back the bitter olives to eat and said, I'd rather have bitter olives, but that is something that is for my own life, than something that's just given to me as like pet food, right? Ever since then, when the Jews celebrate Pesach and they sit at their Pesach tables and they eat the maror, they taste in that maror the taste of Gan Eden. Gewalt. Such a gewalt. It's just a gewalt. Because that's part of what Hanukkah is. On the one hand, is Hashem's providing for us from above and giving us this nest. On the other hand, it's the story of our rebellion, of so few against so many, and that our effort was what unearthed and revealed this primordial purity and this primordial bitterness, this amazing thing. On the one hand, like the thing of human effort, which is bitter because I'm alone, I feel abandoned in what's going to be, and how can we possibly defeat the Greeks? We're going to try anyway. Somehow there's a spark of a sense that Hashem will somehow, and then this impossible, amazing thing happens. That you can connect through from that place, right? So it could be that's what this is. This dove perched above, as we're going to see, the dove plays a big role in the mechanics, because it was this wondrous machine, the whole throne, and the dove plays a major role. The dove, as does the snake, they both play like central roles in the throne, in this very ornate golden throne that is reminding us of what royalty is, and that we need to let our mind's eye go there. It's very Purim. Just be there for a minute. Just let the images sink in as images and see where it takes you. So above the head of the king is there's perched a golden dove holding a golden jug of oil. And it was from and the oil we saw so slide, we're just reviewing a little bit. The oil from that jug was used to go into the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. So it means it had two stops. First stop is in the throne, which is this place that is kind of affirming the human majesty and royalty. Shlomo Melech sat there. He was bringing down everybody's majesty and royalty and dignity, honor. So so no. So the jug, it sounds like there's three stops. The jug, the little jug that the dove is holding, actually has a little flame in it, and they use from that flame to light it. That's what we're talking about, because in the Gemara it says they lit from the fire on the Mizbeach, the halotet hanerot, and then underneath it was a bigger square-shaped golden basin. There was gadol, doesn't say how big, but it's big. It was filled with very pure oil. That from there they took the oil for the menorah and the Beis Hamikdash. So the oil and the flame are both taken from the throne. Both things, oil and the flame. We have Maturah Love, Eli, and on that big square golden not jug but container, which had the oil in it, was a picture of Eli, the Cohen brother, and two shibolei zahav, and two stalks of wheat came up from it, and on them was the picture of the faces of his two sons, Chofni and Pinchas. And between them were two rods of gold that had on them Nadav and Avihu, were the two sons of Abraham, of Aaron, who died. The two sons of Eli also had some problems in Tanakh. There were issues. Eli got punished because of them, and the three of them died in a sad way. So fascinating that they're there. And there are two golden seats next to the king, one for the high priest and one for the executive high priest, the Sgan HaKohanim. And then behind him were 70 seats, not sure if they're exactly attached to the throne, for all of the Sanhedrin to sit, all of the court, the high court. And then this amazing thing of these two fish, these two golden fish on either side of his head, so his head won't slouch to one side. These two golden fish to help you to see straight. See, he said last time, Moish Keller says, I was driving with Moish in New York, and he says, I said, am I supposed to drive straight? He says, like, it's never straight. Forward. Never straight. Forward. You know Moish, you know Moish. You know the Moish? Oh, no. Anyway, he's up in Katrina now. What?
Which
Moish Geller.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, right? It's never straight, like it's forward, right? Anyways, so the fish are there. Amazing, very Purim. Two fish on either side of my head to make sure I'm staying forward. Looking forward. And on top of his head were 24 grapevines that would make a kind of a shade over the king's head, also made of gold. And whenever he wanted to go somewhere, whenever he needed to go somewhere, the whole throne would move, like take him where he needed to go. Wow. Throne would go underneath him. It would like move. It was automated in some way, in some ancient way. The kasher yasim raglo ala mala rishona, and when he would first start to step up and go up onto the throne, so then all the golden animals would get activated, and they'd all kind of greet him in his developed way. Then we'll each speaker here. We did last week, and then tanin zahav echad. There was a golden serpent. Tanin is a word that Rashi translates it in Sefer Dvarim to be nachash. But it could also be like the Taninim Hagdolim, like the Leviathan type of thing. It's huge. But it seems to me that here it's a snake. Because it says it was Kidmut Galgal. It was a snake in the form of a circle, like a serpent in the form of a circle. So it fits well with a serpent, lends itself, and there are many ancient images of such a thing, like the snake eating its tail kind of a thing. We see that thing around. What?
The sign of the medical doctor.
The sign of the doctors is that I know is Moshe Rabbeinu, the Nachash Nechoshet that was on a almot, it was on a stick, and it was like going around. I think but there is some kind of significance, ancient thing. But here, so it's in the shape of a circle, and all the kings in the world were all amazed. None of the other royalty in the whole world anything like this. And when they would see it, they would all praise Hashem. They were all blown away by praising Hashem. And when you go to sit on it, so then the big eagle, there was one of the eagles kind of bigger, would take the crown. It would like move around, take his crown and fly over, or whatever it is, move over and put it on his head, right? And then that great serpent would start to turn with the it's like those, like, like we open up one of the old like wind-up watches where there's wheels that turn out their wheels that turn out their wheels. So there was that type of machinery inside the throne. And the first thing that would turn would be the serpent, and then that would cause the whole thing to whir into life, right? But the motor of the thing is the snake, which is a gaval. And then all the rest of it came to life. Then, like we said, there were these 12 lions and 12 eagles on your way up. The Galgalim Chachma would all start to also turn with great wisdom. The Olim Liot Tzel, and they would all move up and go up to the top of the throne, and also provide more shade and more of this kind of like entourage thing. In addition to the 24 golden grapevines that were already hanging there, and the dove with the jug, and the other big jug, and so on of oil. The Yonat HaZahav, and then that golden dove that was up there, Yoredet Min Hamud, it had kind of a column that it was like sitting on, and it opened up. There was a aron. I don't know where the aron was. It was attached as part of the throne, and then Velokachat Sefer Torah. It would open up like kind of like little doors. It would open up, take out a Sefer Torah, V'notenet b'yad HaMelech Shlomo, and give it into the hands of that's the full image of the king. The pasuk says king has to have a Sefer Torah with him at all times. So the crown gets put on his head, the Sefer Torah, like the right eagle puts the crown in his head, the dove brings the Sefer Torah, puts it in his arms. Gavalt, right? Such a great image, it's so healthy, it's so like happy. I took my son today, Baruch Hashem, to get fitted for his tefillin. His bar mitzvah is going to be Rosh Chodesh Shvat. It's my oldest son, it's very big. My oldest child, it's very big. And when they put it on his head, he said, it feels right. He was amazed. Not just that it fits. It's like my head was made that it's like the tefillin were made for my head. It's like this. It's correct to have it. Like it's like this. There's this very profound rightnesses and nachon, amazing thing. So there's something even just hearing this. It's hearing about the eagle putting the crown and the golden dove bringing the Torah. It's just like like kach tzarich liot. And then when he would sit there, he was doing it for all of us. It was bringing all of us our honor back, bringing all of us our connection to Torah back and our royalty, our dignity. Like Gavalt. We're all the splendor and the pomp, even of the pizzazz, the bling. I don't know if that's too cheap of a word, but the royalty, the richness, the opulence of what a neshama is, of what we really are. Right? This is Purim. Like put on a costume on Purim. The deepest part of the costume is the fact that you can switch your identity. The fact that you can switch your identity means that who you really are is above any particular identity. There's a glint, a wink from under the costume of the transcendent you that is above any manifestation. So by playing with the manifestation, you reveal essence. You reveal mamish, something so wonderful, so needed. The Karabakoi Mechayav and Yarch Yom bringing the pasuk about the king, Amamlachto, Chuvanav, Shabakon Gadol, and then when there was some kind of a sort of like a seder that the high priest would come in and say Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Amelech, Shlomo, V'chol Zkinim, and all the elders would come in to sit in the Sanhedrin seats on the right and on the left.
Get drunk, the essence comes out.
Biju. Like when you get drunk, the essence comes out.
The costume is running like
Zero. Rabbi Nachman in Torah Nun Vav, it comes out that Megillat Esther, it's like the words Gilui of Hester, revealing that which is hidden. But it's not just that it reveals that which is hidden. It reveals the fact that there is hiddenness. That's itself so great. It just reminds you that there's such a thing as mystery. Like things are not flat and already known. It just opens up the infiniteness. Megillat Hester, not that the Hester is totally galui now. Gilui sheyesh Hester. So then they would come and everyone would take their seats. And then it's very fascinating because that was where the court was. You come in, and when there were very serious court cases, witnesses would come. Actually, this week. That was so cool. This week I was actually the first time in my life I testified in a court. It was a small claims court. Last year, around a year ago, I got in an accident with a bus. It was okay. The bus driver was this little religious man. He was like so sweet, and we couldn't fight. But like it was like okay, I was trying to pass the bus. It was just one of these kind of unclear things if it's really 2 lanes or 1 wide lane or whatever. And I was next to him, and he banged into the other side. And yeah, there was a judge in front of me. It was a plastic pane that they probably COVID, put. And I had like a lectern, like a stender, but it wasn't like it wasn't for davening. It was for testifying, like a witness's thing. What?
The same thing? Same sender?
I don't know. They took it from the shul. I don't know. And next to me is a lawyer from Eged, and he's like, and it was really funny. Like, anyway, that's already a modern thing, having lawyers. That's already a whole different thing. In the Torah, there's no such thing as a lawyer. But as far as I know, I mean, how do they say in Turkey Avos? Anyway, I don't get a discussion about lawyers, but there is some discussion a little bit in Turkey Avos about the concept of something might be similar to a lawyer. But in any case, the point is that he was trying to get me to say like whatever they wanted. I was just telling the truth, and you feel something like, oh, I really better be, not say things that I think might be, but only say what I really know. And if I'm not sure, I'm not sure. So when people would come to stand in front of that's what they choose to talk about here. When people would come, and if the Eidim maybe were actually Eidei Sheker, so it describes how scared they would be to stand in front of this throne. Wow. If it would be false witnesses that would come to testify before Shlomo. So then all these great what do you call those things? The gears. All the gears that would turn. The Galgalim would turn. And Nasim b'chokhmah Galgalim v'sochachim et hasharim. They would v'sochachim az hasharim goim harayot shoagim azevim terpim akvasim poim הנמרים צועקים הגמלים בוכים החתולים יעללים הכבשים יחדים התרנגולים קוראים הניצים מצפצפים הציפורים כולם נוהים לחטוף לב העדים. All the animals, each one has a different word for how they make a sound. The cats would meow, and the birds would screech to different kinds of birds, and the lions would roar, and each one making their sound, and it would go into the heart of these Eidim. You get there was like this living, huge golden, like melee of royal. You're standing before, so whoa, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I better tell the truth. They were planning not to tell the truth. I better tell the truth, right?
And if they were planning on not telling the truth,
yeah. Like Kanireh would be for every Eidim that would come, like just in case the animals would all. It sounds like it. I mean, it says Eidei Sheker. I don't know if they knew who was it, but Eidim Omrim Bilvavam. And then the Eidim would say in their hearts, "Na'irei du temet." You better tell the truth. If not, they're gonna tear us up. All these animals, like they look, like they could just jump, just grab you. So that's a Gavaldic passage. In other words, there was a kind of a fierceness of eliciting truth that would come from this whole display, this whole thing of the throne, right? Describing a little more, when King Solomon would go up to sit, when he was going up, the lions would throw out herbs and sweet-smelling things as he was going up. It's a machine of some kind. It doesn't say Nes. It says it was all done with his great Chochmah, the Chochmah of Shlomo, that he understood. Was it?
The sound that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can make something make noise.
Right.
That's what we're only like 500 years ago when they were learning about the Throne of Achashveros. You couldn't make something noise.
Right.
You know, so whatever is beyond our current technology.
They had something. He had some kind of an amazing. They have found, by the way, you guys can Google this. The Greeks had an amazing amount of technology, much more than we thought. I think there've been recent discoveries of amazing things they found in shipwrecks and stuff. And well, yeah, so Shlomo Melech before then, he had even more. The Katsini Chavus and so and then when calamity struck, Nebuchadnezzar came and took the throne. And when he wanted to go up and sit on the throne, watch out, right? You're not Shlomo, or you're not the rightful king, forget about it, right? He didn't know that he had to know the whole machinery of the thing, and he had no idea what was going on under the surface. He put his foot on the first step, and a golden lion came with its right paw and smote his left leg. And he was limping the rest of his life. Wow. That's it. Yeah. And didn't try again, right?
So you didn't try with Pesach?
No, I mean Nebuchadnezzar. Right? Said this. And then it has this thing, it has Alexander, I don't know, it's a little bit out of, it's not completely out of order, but in between them is Paras. And Shishak Melech Mitzrayim, when he saw this, he also wanted to go up, but that's Kanireh, he didn't bring it down to Mitzrayim. Shishak is described in Sefer Melachim. He also tried to go up, he also got maimed, and his leg wasn't able to walk with his leg. And Anpunis ben Antiochus, son of Antiochus, tried to go up. But when he conquered Mitzrayim, he tried to sit on the throne of Shlomo, and he brought it over Kanireh with boats to Greece. I don't know. And one of the feet, like one of the supporting parts of the throne, broke off, and he brought all the greatest workers in the world to fix it. When he able to fix it, so it's like it's in a broken state still. It needs to still be fixed. And he's after Paras, right? Antiochus is the Chanukah story is later. It's during the Bais Sheni, right? The Purim story is between the Bais Rish and the Bais Sheni. So it's a bit out of order how it's describing these different kings. I don't know why. But it says that Koresh, who was a descendant of Achashverosh and Esther, in the schus that he said he wants to build the Beis Hamikdash and actually did build the Bais Sheni, he was zocha to actually climb up and sit in this throne. He was the last person to sit on it. And the Midrash Rabbah that we were learning, I forgot to bring it from my house, unfortunately, but it's a very short Midrash. It's going on that pasuk that we saw, this, which is pasuk Gimel. This Perek Aleph pasuk Bet is what we just did the Targum on. The Targum Chain. Perek Aleph pasuk Gimel says Bishnat Shalosh LeMalcho, in the third year of his Malchus, he made a drinking party for all of his Rav Avadav and all of his people, right? What is Shalosh LeMalcho? Shalosh LeMelachto. And we saw this, the third year of his Malacha. What's Malacha? Because Achashverosh fashioned a copy. He wasn't able to get up. He was too scared. He heard, it's automated, it's going to hurt him, right? So he created a copy of this throne. And it took him 3 years to make a copy, but it was a dead copy. It wasn't one that moved or anything, right? Didn't have anywhere near what this was. We made some kind of a copy of it. So
Made in China.
Made in China. Exactly. So it's like the Achashverosh version. So here we'll learn a little bit Chassidus on it before we go to Maral. This is from Gvias Chov Melakuchos, Hilchos Apotiki, Halacha Hey, Ois Ches, paragraph 8. Which is based on Torah 1 in the second section, Putim Moran, which is actually all about the purpose of a Jew is to rise above the angels. And we're actually learning about that also in Maral. It's amazing how Hashem does this. I'm like, Mom, explain that like that. The two shiurim kind of fit together. Amazing. And the angels are jealous. And they try to fight against us, stop us from doing mitzvahs, stop us from having simcha, stop us from doing what we need to do. And the advice how to vanquish them and win, one of the angels is the angel of the Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara is like an angelic force at core, as is especially discussed in Torah 72 in the Ketuna. So, how do you answer, but how do you fight against the angels? Is you hold on to the throne of Hashem. What does it mean to hold on to the throne of Hashem? It means to hold on to the root of the souls of all of Israel. It means connect yourself up with Am Yisrael. Connect up with your friends, and particularly if you can, connect with tzaddikim who are kind of root souls for the generation. And when you're connected up with Am Yisrael, then you have something that is untouchable by the angels. You have something, then you can win. You get by with little help from my friends, as they say. And that brings you to the true kisei, the real kisei. This is something that Hashem says in the Parashat Beshalach, right? Yad al keis ka milchama ba'amalek midor dor. There's a hand on the throne of Hashem that there's a fight with Amalek from generation to generation, so there's letters missing. Kes is missing kisei. The kisei is not shalem. Hashem's own throne is missing something, missing the aleph, right? And Yud Ke Vav Ke, they were missing the Vav Ke. It's only Yud Ke, right? Yad al Kes, Yud and Hey, right? It doesn't have the Vav and Hey, yeah. And that's because Amalek is presenting a different form of royalty, a different form of malchus in the world, a different culture, a different power structure, which is top heavy, which is not what Gunji said. When Shlomo would sit on that throne, it would give us all back our dignity. When Achashveros sat on his made in China throne, it scared everyone and made everyone feel tiny and unimportant. Right? It totally was the opposite of the affirming, energizing throne of Shlomo HaMelech. It was mamish, the opposite of the throne of Am Yisrael, the throne that is the source, the root of the souls of all of Am Yisrael. Mamish, the opposite. And that is the fear and like really the terror of Purim, that we thought we were all going to die. That like, here's this, we're all just a bunch of ants, and here's this big boot of this powerful king. And as we have all these descriptions of his wealth at the beginning of the Megillah, these incredibly also very ornate descriptions of the other side of wealth, of the wealth that is to show you that you are nothing and I am everything. Right? It's also detrimental to the wealthy person themselves, because they over-identify with what they have, and they don't feel a real inherent sense of self-worth. It's coming only from my possessions. It's coming from that I have more and you, I have and you don't. I depend on there being not haves in order for me to be a have, and so on. It's really, really heavy, and it's very stands out in the Megillah. The whole first chapter very, really much stands out. Wasn't necessary to have all that much description. Just say he made a party and that's it. We understand it was the king's palace. It was, but no, it goes very much into it. So we should understand the terror that he was creating, the dictatorship, the royalty of the other side, the dark side, right? So that's This is Al Kain Mitchilas HaMegillah. It starts off describing the throne of Achashveros, as it says that he sat in the throne of his royalty. Is the exact opposite of the true holy throne. Hashem makes it this way that there's an opposite. Literally made a facsimile of Shlomo's throne. And to stop us from holding on to the holy throne of togetherness, right? And what happens when Esther tells everyone? What does she say? Tell everyone this amazing term, sumu alai. This is like, it's not sumu lashen. Sumu alai. It's a very powerful, amazing thing. Fast upon me, with me. Be with me in this. I'm going in for all of us, right? Fast with me. It's this incredible, it's much deeper than just identifying. It's much deeper than just doing something at the same time. It's a joining forces and kind of a locking in and empowerment, right? It's like when Am Yisrael all locks in together, nothing like, it's this like hydrogen bomb of good, it's like this, like there's this interface, the souls lock in. That was us all holding on to the kisei. Esther she's the root soul, she's the tzaddik of the generation, she's holding us all together. And Mordechai and Mamish, therefore, at that Suda, they got us to do all kinds of things, to go after all kinds of lusts and non-kosher and so on, and be unfaithful and so in all kinds of ways. But, like as we said, from the Heilige Lechadoidi, Reb Shlomo Carlebach, that the holier the book is, it goes on top of the other book, right? The Torah goes on top of the Navi goes on the Ksubim. So when you roll up the Megillah, what's on top? The story of that meal. Even though this was happening and it was so scary, and he was and we were getting it all wrong, but that's the holiest part of the Megillah. Because Hashem was with us even when we were mamish, not fasting with Esther, but before that, even when we just had to reveal it. We just had to find it. We just had to find that bride, find that togetherness.